zinnias because I thought it would be fun to have fresh flowers to bring into the house, and they brought me so much joy. I was a new mom. I had no idea that that flower patch would eventually turn into Mossy Acre Flower Garden. Looking back, there are a lot of things that I wish that I would have done differently, that I thought maybe people would be curious to hear about. Things like how much time I'd spent pulling weeds, why you probably don't need as many flower varieties as you think, and why growing flowers is only one small part of the challenge of running a cut flower business. So if you're thinking about starting a cut flower garden, or if you've already started one and you're learning as you go, like we all are, here's 6 things I wish I knew before I planted my very first cut flower garden. Okay, number 1, you need fewer varieties than you think. When I was brand new, I wanted to grow everything. I mean, I still kind of do. Seeing everything on social media, you can be influenced so easy to grow everything. What I eventually learned is that most people are better off growing fewer varieties and more of each one. Like a big patch of zinnias or cosmos in a couple colors is going to give you a lot more useful bouquets than trying to grow 30 different flowers and only having 5 of each stem at a time. I did learn that the hard way the first couple of seasons. If I was starting over today, I'd pick 5 or 6 reliable flowers I know I can grow and really focus on those first. Number 2, foliage is just as important as flowers. I thought flowers were the hard part. What nobody told me is that greenery is what makes bouquets look full and professional. Things like mint, basil, Amsonia, bupleurum, baptisia, other foliage can completely transform a bouquet. So when you're planning your first or just planning your cut flower garden, don't think about just the blooms. Think about what you're going to use to support those blooms too. I promise you, it really makes or breaks your bouquet or arrangement to have nice, consistent foliage. Number 3, succession planting matters more than size. For a long time, I thought if I wanted more flowers, I just needed more space. What I've actually learned is that timing matters more than size. If all of your flowers bloom at once, you're going to have a couple weeks where you're drowning in flowers and you probably won't have enough places to sell them. And then suddenly you have nothing left. Instead, I wish I had known from the get-go to plant in rounds. Now I do multiple planting of things like sunflowers and zinnias, cosmos, greeneries, so that when one crop starts slowing down or gets eaten by Japanese beetles, the next one is ready to take over. Honestly, succession planting can make a small garden feel a whole lot bigger than it really is. Number 4, weeds are the real crop. If there's one thing I wish someone had warned me about, it's weeds and how to take care of them early on before they become bad. When people imagine growing flowers, they picture armloads of beautiful flowers, yada yada. What they don't picture is spending hours outside in July heat pulling crabgrass. And that's pretty much the reality of sum up flower farming right there. My flower growing space is still relatively new, and the weed pressure has been so bad. The good news is that it does get better over time, like in future years, as you continue managing your area year after year. But if you're just starting out, know that weed management is the job. Use mulch however you can. Landscape fabric isn't cheating. A stirrup hoe is going to be your best friend. The less time you spend fighting weeds, the more time you get to spend enjoying your flowers. But take care of the weeds early on. Number 5, flowers don't bloom on your schedule. One of the biggest lessons gardening teaches is patience. You can have a plan, but flowers don't always cooperate with your spreadsheet. Sometimes spring is cold and really, really wet, and you don't see the sun for 2 weeks. Sometimes a week of heat pushes everything into bloom all at once, like all of your peonies blooming at once. Sometimes a crop you were counting on just doesn't perform, or the Japanese beetles are bad. You get powdery mildew. I've learned that gardening gets a lot more enjoyable when I stop trying to control everything and just start working with the season and rolling with the punches as best as I can. And going back to having succession planting, if something did really bad or got Japanese beetle damage, powdery mildew, then I know that I have another succession coming on in the near future. Number 6, it's addictive. The first time you walk outside and cut enough flowers to make a bouquet for your kitchen table, you get this little rush of excitement. Then next year you think, maybe I'll plant a few more. Then suddenly you're checking the weather forecast 3 times a day, even in winter, stocking seed catalogs in January, making a big bulb order in October, figuring out where you can squeeze in one more flower bed. For me, there really is something magical about growing something from a seed and getting to watch it change week after week. Even now, after several years of growing flowers, I still get excited walking outside in the morning to see what's blooming that day and how it changes every day. If you're not careful, your little flower patch might end up turning into a big flower growing operation too. Don't mind the lawnmower in the background. So the funny thing is, if you would have told me when I planted that very first little patch of zinnias in my first starter home that I would have been making, growing flowers for weddings, bouquet subscriptions, 2 different flower businesses now, I probably wouldn't have believed you. So if you're thinking about growing flowers, I say just get started. You're going to always be learning. And the best way to learn is by making mistakes. And you'll make mistakes. And those mistakes will stick with you, and you won't make that mistake again. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Please like and subscribe if you want to watch more content like this. I'd really appreciate it.